Hey, howdy. Hope you guys are doing well, and Happy New Year. This is my first check-in of 2024. I'm very excited for this year, and I thought that I would do my first video in 2024 as something that I've been really excited to talk about. I think that it's not something I have found online, so hopefully I'm hitting a new niche and helping out some people that maybe were wondering about this topic. What I want to talk about today is women's health, and I'm going to be speaking specifically to my experience as a woman on the Appalachian Trail, but of course this can translate to general through hiking, backpacking, camping, that sort of thing. These are just some thoughts that I compiled, and I got some feedback from the other women in my family about what they wish they had known about women's health before trail and things like that. So yeah, we're going to talk about it. I'm going for a little walk with my tea because I'm getting over a little bit of a head cold again. And yeah, we're going to enjoy a little bit of this winter sun before I have to go to work. Check out that ridgeline with a power line, but I'll take it. Thing number one I want to address is general safety on the Appalachian Trail. I think that this one gets kind of blown a little bit out of proportion. All things considered, the Appalachian Trail was incredibly safe. The only times that I had questionable encounters with people were when I was near town or walking out of town or into town or on the fringes of town or Pennsylvania. Now, the thing that I did for safety was ensure that one of the gear items in my pack was safety minded. And so for me, that was my neck knife. I chose to have a knife that went around my neck for easy access in the event that I was in an emergency and needed it of some sort. I didn't. But I think that that's the point I want to make, is just having an item that is dedicated to your safety and security and is easily accessible. You will probably never need it, but just having it there ready and able to be grabbed in a moment's notice added a lot of mental security for me when I was in somewhat questionable situations. Also, hitchhiking in groups is a really good idea. There are so many people on the Appalachian Trail. It's easy to find out who's going into town at the same time as you or is aiming for a certain hostel, the same one as you. So it's worth taking the time to group up and have multiples in a shot. Other thoughts I have on safety, just some other things that would be a good idea. Having a safe word with your friends is one, so that if you are having an interaction with someone that you're getting a bad vibe from and you don't want to outright say, hey, you seem unsafe, having a code word that you can sneak into conversation to let them know, hey, I'm uncomfortable, this is not good, let's move on, or something to that effect is a really good idea. And another one, if you're really concerned about safety, is just to link up with people. Like I said, there's so many people on the Appalachian Trail, and that's one of the reasons that I really enjoyed having my tramily, because I knew that I always had a dedicated group of people who were expecting me at camp tonight and knew that I was aiming for this place for lunch. And I didn't always have to do that. Things changed, and I would shoot a text and be like, hey, I feel like crap today. I'm not going to make it the next 5 miles. And that was fine. But just knowing that if I hadn't shown up to camp, there would be people who were concerned and were messaging me to make sure that I was okay, that added a lot of safety to me as well. All of these rhododendron bushes this morning were curled in, and that tells me that it was, roughly speaking, below freezing this morning. They're open now, which means that it's at least a little above freezing, but not by much. Next up, in relation to women's health, is just to be mindful of your mental and emotional health. And that seems kind of like a given. It probably seems like it would be easy enough to just continue whatever practice items you have in regular life on trail, but your trail life is going to disrupt everything that is normal. And so just go onto trail expecting to need new tools and be ready to adapt and change and kind of roll with the new normalcy that comes with trail life. One of the things that I did was track my period. I'm so bad about that in regular life, but I paid closer attention to it on trail because I wanted to know when to expect the weeks where I was bonking and the weeks where I felt super productive and was slamming out over 20-mile days and, you know, things like that. Along those lines, just be ready for your period anytime because strenuous activities such as through hiking or hiking generally or camping or doing a hard mountain will affect your cycle, and it may get thrown all out of proportion. So just be ready for it anytime. As frustrating as it can be to get your period suddenly in the regular world when you can pop over to a Walmart or something like that, it is a lot more frustrating when you are 3 days from town and have nothing with you. So just be prepared in the case of emergency. I do know that some women use methods of birth control to help regulate their periods. Not a bad idea. Consider it if that's what you want to do. Also keep in mind hygiene and leave no trace practices for packing out all your materials. I unfortunately did find a couple times of women's hygiene products that were not even attempted to be buried, and that was just so disgusting. Please leave the trail better than you found it and keep good practice while you take care of your body. As a note there, if you would like to be discreet about packing out your waste products, you can make basically a plastic bag that has duct tape around it so that you can't see what's on the inside. Or some people use big markers. I never found one that big, or just colored bags of some sort so that you can feel a little bit more discreet. Another thing to keep in mind that actually was the entire motivation behind this video. This is the first thing I thought of that made me go, there's probably a lot more actually behind this, is just to keep in mind the dampness. And I'm aware that this applies slightly more to the Appalachian Trail considering, look at that. Beautiful. I am aware that dampness applies a little bit more to the Appalachian Trail considering how much rain it does get, but just keep in mind what implications that might have. That affects chafing. If you don't chafe regularly, you might chafe out there. If you chafe, you might chafe in new places. So having some sort of a plan for that is a good idea. Some people use baby powder, some people use things like Body Glide and squirrel nut butter. Those are all great products. And also keep in mind that sort of stuff when it comes to clothing choices. Having clothes that are tighter on your body are going to hold in the moisture and make it harder for your body to actually dry off. And I experienced that because I enjoy hiking in those biker shorts that are tighter on my legs, and that was great, but it also holds in moisture wherever that is. So just keep that in mind, that that's something you're going to need to pay attention to just to make sure it never becomes an issue, and also just know that it's coming, because that was one of the more uncomfortable parts of hiking for me as a woman, was just that dampness all the time. Along with that, to make sure that you're being safe, I've talked in my pre-trail videos about medications that I got before trail that included, medication for traveler's diarrhea, and if I got bit by a tick, medications for those sort of things. If I were to go back in time, I would also add the medications for yeast infections, because that's another thing that is unfortunately actually kind of likely on the Appalachian Trail especially, and it's another thing that you just don't want to get caught without. It's easy enough to go ahead and get one of those 1-shot pills, or maybe it's 2-shot, I can't remember exactly, just to have with you in case that is something that pops up when you are 3 days out from town, because that is not a situation that is fun for anyone and you don't want to find yourself in. So something to think about ahead of time might be a good idea to bring with you. The last thing that I want to touch on is sexual health. Point blank, there's a lot of people having sex out there on the Appalachian Trail. You don't have to participate if you don't want to, but a lot of people do, so I thought I'd include it. My main point here is just be respectful. Keep in mind privacy, keep in mind where public spaces are, and keep in mind hygiene. Don't forget that we are using essentially hand sanitizer at most to clean our hands out there. So just keep that in mind and make sure you're being safe and smart and able to enjoy the activities you want to enjoy responsibly. All right, y'all, I'm not getting blinded by the sun, but I am headed back to the house to work for the day. And that's kind of the majority of my thoughts that I had about women's health for through hiking, camping, specifically my experiences from through hiking the Appalachian Trail. If any other women out there want to leave a comment about other things that they've experienced, other tips, tricks, I would love for the comment section to turn into just a sharing space for women uplifting women. So yeah, thanks for checking out this video. If you made it to the very end, I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad we're all forging on into 2024 fearlessly. All right, y'all, until next time.